So today's video looks a little different. Today we're doing a flipped switch flip with Natalie from over at Sparks of Joy. And basically what happened was she sent me a box of supplies that she had thrifted, and I sent her a box of supplies. So once you're done with this video, jump over and check her out, like and subscribe. She's so great, you will love her. Well, you will love her unless she sends you a box of junk. So as you can see, she really made this a challenge for me, but I think we did okay. I can't wait to see what you think in the end. So check out these supplies and then we'll get started. Alright guys, project number one is starting out with a bang. I had this little guy that was grinning at me because he was like, yeah, try to do something with me. All week long, he was on my mind and he was kind of haunting me. Look at him hiding in my decor. He was even messing with me when I was trying to make my coffee. But in all seriousness, what I did decide to do with him is mount him to this arch, and then we're going to actually make a wreath holder out of him, and I actually think it turned out cute. So here we're using the olive crest mold, and you know what? This is the first time that I actually used the clay from IOD. In the past I've used different air dry clays, and I have to tell you, I've heard people say they love this the most, but now I understand why. It is so soft and creamy. It's not sticky on your hands, and you know, honestly, when it dries, I noticed it had way less cracks. I do paint my clay before it dries, so I know that helps it dry a little slower, avoiding cracks. Here I'm using also that beautiful bird song mold. I just thought a little bird up there at the top would be the perfect touch. So okay, we're actually starting out with a base coat of crinoline. I did end up doing the second coat in sandy blonde because as I got this done, I realized it was a little lighter than I had imagined, and I didn't get the sandy blonde footage on tape. So you'll notice in a minute when we move over to wax, it's a little darker, which is the sandy blonde second coat. And the thing that I love about DIY paint is it is a clay-based paint. So I did all these projects inside. I actually had my grandkids in town this week, and there was no smell, no chemical-y smell that you get when you're painting inside with different paints. And honestly, I just love working with it. Once you get your DIY paint on the way you like it, what you do after that is you go ahead and seal it. You can seal it with a sealer that you have at home. You can seal it with one of their amazing waxes. And I just had somebody asking me about the wax because they've used different waxes in the past and said sometimes they can kind of be hard to work with. Well, I don't know if you've used DIY paint and waxes before, but if not, give it a try because their wax is so soft and creamy. It goes on so smooth, and when it dries hard, so it's not going to scratch off. It goes on basically any surface. I just love it. So after we got it all waxed with the white wax, we're just going back in with some Rub and Buff. This is actually the gold leaf color, and I think this is the first time I've used this actual color, and I really liked it. So here we're just fitting our little wreath around our guy, and then, because I don't want to see him grinning at me anymore, I took this beautiful ribbon, and we are just going to tie a bow around him. I actually think this little project turned out so cute. What do you guys think? So project number two was not terrible to start out with. This little swan was sweet, but it just seemed like it was missing some detail to really make it pop. So I pulled out my wings and feathers mold from IOD, and I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a section of these wings to just kind of give this guy a little more definition. So here I'm using the IOD air dry clay again, which again, I cannot say enough about it. It's just so great to work with. Other clays kind of leave a sticky residue on your fingers, and this one it didn't. It had enough moisture, but it wasn't so wet that it kind of just felt sticky on your hands. And then it just went into the molds so nicely, which makes sense because that is what it was created to do. IOD created this air dry clay to work with these molds, so it just works really well. I love these molds because they have that rim, the micro rim, that helps you really smooth out the edges and just get a flawless finish in the end with your castings. So I'm just going ahead and applying his wings, and then we're gonna paint him up. Again, you'll notice that I painted him with crinoline, and then the second coat I went back and used the sandy blonde for the second coat just to give him a little more depth and color. You'll notice all the projects today had a similar fill. I wanted it to be kind of a vignette, and I also wanted to show off the IOD and DIY products and show you that you can really use them on any base. So just using that sandy blonde, the white wax, going in with that beautiful rub and buff at the end, and here you go, this beautiful little swan. I think she turned out so sweet. Okay guys, project number 3. What are you gonna do with this toy? So we popped the lid off and filled these holes in with some of that air dry clay. And the only thing that I could think of without completely tearing this apart was to make it into actually like a little book stand. And I actually like how it turned out. So here we're just going to go back into that olive pressed mold. You know, I love this mold so much because it doesn't have to be just for the holidays, but it does play well when you are trying to give a holiday look. So here I took these 2 swags on the sides, and we are going to use them to form a little wreath on the sides of this book stand. So check this out. Once that clay dried, I'm just kind of going back in and smoothing the surfaces where I filled in holes and just kind of giving it a smooth surface to start with. And then next we're going to actually take our DIY paint and we're going to mix a little salt wash in it. Salt wash is just a product that kind of adds a little bit of texture to your paint. I've also heard of people using baking soda for this. DIY has a product called paint frosting that would give a little bit of texture, more texture than what I was looking for here, but we'll do a project maybe on the next video with that paint frosting additive because it's also really good. So here I am just mixing in that salt wash with the paint. Just kind of thickens it a little bit and gives it a little bit of a texture, almost kind of like a concrete or a cement look is how it ends up coming out. I just wanted to make sure that the holes that I had filled in, that texture didn't pop through. And then I just kind of wanted to make sure, because we're working with plastic, so I just kind of wanted to make sure that in the end it didn't look like I had just painted plastic. So that's why I decided to put a little something extra in the paint there. So again, we're whitewashing, or white waxing, sorry, and then we will buff that off and add our beautiful gold accents. And this project is done. I actually really like how it turned out. I can see it sitting like on your kitchen counter with a book and a plant on it. What do you guys think? So project number 3 was this little gold heart frame, and I didn't think this was terrible to begin with. I thought it was cute, but I'm supposed to flip it. So I took it apart and thought, what a cute ornament would this make? So we're gonna go ahead and take those little tabs off that we're holding the glass in, and then we'll give it a good coat of that paint and salt wash mix to give it some texture. And then we're gonna add a little something to the middle of this. It's an old casting that I had from one of the IOD molds. I will add the link to that mold in the description along with the other products that we've used today. But we just added that in the middle to just add a little bit more interest to it. Here we go, adding that. And then we're gonna let it dry, and we're gonna add our rub and buff at the end after we white wax it. And then we will have the cutest little ornament. I decided to hang it with some red velvet ribbon, and you'll see that in a minute. So go ahead and enjoy the rest of this project. Project number 4, we're gonna take these old metal pieces that went to lighting fixtures, I think, and then those chess pieces that came in the box, and we're gonna marry them together and create some candle risers. So here we're just gonna go ahead and clip off the tops of those candle risers so that we have a smooth surface to connect all the pieces together. Now we're using using E6000 glue, and we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of that, and then we're also going to add some hot glue just for the instant bond so we can keep moving on our project. And we'll just put those pieces together, and then we did take some of that silicone caulking and I just added it to wherever we glued the pieces together to kind of hide those seams so that once we get this project painted up, it all looks like one piece. And that is a big tip. When you do still see those seams, you can tell things have been glued together. But when you take that extra time to do that one simple step of covering those seams up, it really does, in the end, make for a better finish. So here we're just connecting the top plate too, and then we're gonna let that dry. Once those pieces dried, I gave them a good coat of paint, and then I just felt like I wanted to, instead of just putting a regular candle on, I wanted to be able to do tapered candles. So I added this simple little candle holder that you can get at Hobby Lobby to the middle, and then out comes our olive crust mold, and we are going to go ahead and cast almost another little wreath to go around the top of this just to give it some interest and help it kind of match the rest of the vignette. Once that was all together and dry, we gave it another coat. This is the sandy blonde color, and here we're coming in with that white wax. We're gonna go ahead and white wax both pieces, wipe that back, and then we'll add Rub and Buff, and these little cuties will be done and ready to be added to the vignette. What do you guys think? For project number 5 and the final project of today, we took this lunchbox and we turned it into something kind of special. So here I'm just taking off those sweet little stickers. As I was taking them off, I was imagining what little child had put them on and kind of the life that this little box had lived, and then they donated it to some thrift store, and now it's having this whole new life. And I was thinking, like, what's going to be the next story? I don't know, I just think it's interesting when you pick things up at the thrift store and think about, you know, how they were used and then how they'll be used in the future. So we're coming in again with that olive crust mold, and we're just gonna take that and the bows mold, and we're gonna create some interest on the top. This will help it look more like home decor, and it's also gonna help us cover up the raised elements that are on this little lunch pail. once we got our molds all glued down and let them dry, we're coming in with that mixture of salt wash and paint again. And we're just gonna give everything a good coat and let it dry before we come back in with our wax. Now, I really like how the outside of this turned out, but I was actually imagining its primary use to be a little vignette in a box. So now we're going to concentrate on what goes inside. Here, I'm just taking some old book pages and we're going to decoupage them in to the back of that front piece of the box. And so here we're using our DIY liquid patina, which is my favorite product to use for decoupaging. It's just very easy to use. It's nice and thin, and I never really have any problems with it. I really enjoy it. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. So we're just going to go ahead and get all of these pages decoupaged into that lid, and then we'll go on to our next step. Now that our box is done, I just thought it would be fun to make a few little cute things to go inside the box. And so here we're gonna do some miniature bunting. And so we went for the new transfer set from IOD, that kitschy Christmas. And I'm just finding these really cute little miniature details to add to this bunting. So fun. And did you know that IOD transfers can also be put on material? You can put them on glass, you can put them on hard surfaces, you can put them on material. So here we're just going to go ahead and make a few flags with these cute little pictures and then hang it to the back of the lid here. Now, I had these little wood cutout houses that I thought would be cute to add to this little vignette. And so here I just got the Marion Bright transfer set out, and we're picking I was looking for like a wreath to put on the front of the house. So we're gonna find the perfect match, and then we're gonna go ahead and apply it. Now with these gilded transfers, I think some people are afraid of them. That's what I've heard. And if I'm honest, probably the first time I used it, I was a little intimidated too, but I do have to tell you, they go on beautifully and they're not hard to use. They're just a little different than a transfer, but I wouldn't say harder than a transfer. So the main tip that I can give you for these is go slow, be gentle, and then as you're rubbing gently, you want to just kind of pull the carrier up as you're rubbing, and it just helps the part that is supposed to transfer lay down. So you just move along. It doesn't take any more time than another transfer does. You just want to have a little more of a gentle touch to it. And then once you get it on, I just take the back that came off in the first place instead of the top piece, because that can transfer some more gold. So you just take that back piece and kind of rub it on to burnish it to get all those little pieces adhered down. And then now I'm just taking this gold pen and going around the edges just to add a little interest. And then here are just some different things that I collected from around my craft room. That was an old bottle brush tree that I had put together last year, I think. And then just these little pieces of greenery, and this was fun, just kind of arranging it. And I did not glue these pieces in because I think you could use this box for something like this, but you could also take those pieces off and just set it on a shelf, or even put recipes in it. One little last element, I thought it would be cute to put a little tag on the front of it that said 25, referring to December 25th. And so here we're taking our amazing typesetting set of stamps that I absolutely love and I've used so many times. And we're just gonna stamp the number 25 on this cute little tag and then use that gold pin again around the edges. And then we'll take some of that beautiful red velvet ribbon and tie it on, and this project will be complete. I hope you guys thought I did okay with these projects today. Of course, a lot of the things we used aren't things that you would typically buy to thrift with, but it did cause me to open up my imagination and just give new things a try. So thanks, Natalie. Don't forget to go jump over and check her out at Sparks of Joy. I will leave a link in the description for her page, along with all the products that I sell from IOD and DIY and all the different things that we use today. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed your time with us today.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, if it looks like there's something missing here today, that's because Treasure wasn't feeling good when we were recording this. So you guys get me today, yay! But hey, I just wanted to stop by and say, hey, here was my favorite of the day, and it was the Swan. I loved the way, now I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the Swan didn't have these wings. She put them on, as you saw in the video. Amazing, really looks great. So if you want any of the products that we have in this video that she used, there are links in the descriptions to every product. It's one stop, click and shop. All you have to do is click on it and find what you're looking for. And remember, you were made with love, so go out and change the world.